My name is Vinny Zambrata. I'm a personal trainer and now very proud FST practitioner. So um, I've been a part of a very large, I think it's the third largest on the East Coast athletic club where we just brought this in. And I think I mentioned even to you in an email, the amount of people coming to me for requests for stretching got so large that I had to rent out my own space to stretch people that weren't clients there. That obviously from a business perspective just made more sense for me. So that was a long answer. I was just supposed to give you my name and what I do, right?
You said it all. That's good. We're off to a great start. Basically, let's hear about you told me that you got so busy. So when did you graduate? You're a level 1 FST certified fascia stretch therapy practitioner, and you just came just this past January 2024. Is that correct?
That's correct. So my training was I think it was the 8th to the 13th. I might be off on a day or two there, but since I've been back in the area in Bucks County, I sent the log to you guys so you could see it. I mean, I've had over 80 hours of hands-on paid sessions. That's in 6 weeks. There's a demand, like I said, coming quicker than it's a great sense of overwhelming as opposed to the negative that usually, I guess, we're accustomed to. But that was, there were probably close to 9,000 members in our club. And so I had a great enough exposure there, but just since coming back and between you guys publishing me on your site and word of mouth, people have contacted me to stretch them. And like I said, it makes more, I even was very honest with the owner of my club saying, hey, this is coming in faster than I can. And if we don't get a different deal, then I could be stretching these people out of my garage, is the way I put it. So to make a long story short, here I am later, 6 weeks later, opened up renting my own space in an office suite where there's a therapist, an acupuncturist, there's a Reiki person, and now there's myself in there with one table, and I'm a one-man show. So that's a dream come true. And putting about 45 hours in at the athletic club at the same time. And that's a combination probably of about 50% FST and 50% personal training, to the point that I can't even take any new personal training clients.
Well, it's an outstanding success story. I think you're on your way to paying off your entire investment with us, including your travel and time away. You're getting close, aren't you?
Well, Chris, what's more remarkable about it is the result from some of these people. Like Colby, to me, was one of this just profound. I'll never forget him telling me that he's not in pain. That was just like a pinch your skin moment. But I'm doing all these things that I'm saying, and yeah, I can pay off that. But there are dozens of people walking out of that room calling me things that I'm like, well, by the way, the new company I started is called the Stretch Guru because they've been calling me the Stretch Guru. So
they're calling you that?
And I'm level 1.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what they're going to think once I get back into it. But I think, if I can talk about the training in particular, I think it was purely a transformative experience for my own professional practice. I expected to maybe add a couple of tools, but it has literally been, provided me with a, comprehensive, an intelligent technique, a modality that works, that's both effective and considerate of the person's needs. And I would have to tell you, every single person has walked off the table and said, I didn't feel anything, no pain. And I underscore it right away. And I tell them, well, that's one of the biggest differences between this modality and anything else is you feel no pain. And I tell them when they sit on the table, from 1 to 10, 10 being pain, you ever feel anything more than a 2, you just let me know. And that has never happened. But it's enhanced my skills and also my understanding, I think, of my own physical wellness as well. So the training was so profound in a way that, to get on the table and then feel the stretches myself, when I'm doing them now, I know I can be empathetic and know what they're going to feel. whether it's the fall, whether it's the fan, I know what they're going to feel, when they're going to feel it. So I can kind of anticipate that. And also, I think, use a decent amount of PNF, which is, I think, shown great results. So,
Well, let's talk about Colby if you're okay with that. Just, a nutshell of the story. You've said a few sentences, and that was enough to get me going emotionally. So if you care to share, I think you have so many stories, obviously, but you mentioned that one in particular. So if you don't mind, it sounds like one of your favorites.
yeah. So Colby came to me again, 26-year-old male. His parents indicated when they brought him to me that he was undiagnosed in the learning disabilities area. The first session or two was, trying to feel him out, but clearly a big asymmetry on his left leg versus right leg, but very verbal and outgoing. Second session, he started just wearing headphones. So I don't even know what he listens to in there, but he looked more relaxed than any person that's ever laid on the table. His ability to let go, when you're PNFing and things like that, was remarkable. Anytime I could get a deep stretch in, I would just see this big smile on his face and think, wow, that must feel nice, And I would say after this, I guess it was the second session. I'm only doing half-hour sessions with him. There's an attention span thing. After the second session, he got off the table, took his headphones off, and he said, I don't know what they taught you out in Phoenix, but that's amazing. So from there, I said to him, well, those are some high remarks that, just so you know, I hold myself accountable to only get better from now. And he said, so that's my most favorite time because I'm on the table, and for that half hour, I'm not in any pain. And that just, like head lifting off the shoulders moment. Again, I'm so big on empathizing, but not thinking that here's a boy that's sitting there in constant pain. And for those 30 minutes, that smile he was showing was a sign of not being in pain. So, here we are 6 weeks later. The mom came to me and said she was paying a lot of money for a physical therapist. Also, there's a company, mom and pop place in town. They just end up using massage guns on people, is what it sounds like. But she was bringing him there twice. Say it again.
And stretching too, you mentioned. He was being stretched.
And stretching. But like, I never, all he said and the mom said was they didn't do anything like what you're doing.
Right. Well, they call it stretching because it's different.
Stretching. They're stretching.
Traditional.
But they now have gotten rid of that stretching person, gotten rid of the physical therapist, and he's seeing me now twice a week. And he is on that table 5 minutes early with those headphones on with a big smile. So he last week he said, I can't wait for you to come back in April.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
So that's Colby, but didn't realize I would have an impact on someone's life like that. And not only that, but like I said, the mom and the dad are appreciative in words that it's difficult to wrap my head around. So
I think you mentioned was it him that had an emotional release where he basically cried? You said his mother says he never cries or hasn't cried.
26 years, mom says he's never shed a tear. And like I said, there he is laying on the table with that big smile and did that.
Wow. Yeah. Tears of happiness.
It was like, I don't even know how to explain that, but I'm going.
Yeah.
So that's Colby. But I think that was the biggest, that's had an effect. I have to tell you too, some of the others this isn't nearly, if I may, not a Colby experience, but here I have a gentleman on the table and we're talking and he's speaking very medically. And so I asked him what he does. He's the head of OBGYN at one of the major hospitals close by. And so I'm doing some stretching and I was just doing his calf. He said he was complaining of some plantar fasciitis. And so I was doing some calf stretches. And as I'm stretching his calf, he went out loud. He went, "This is fascinating." And so I just continued and I did a little bit more. And so then I started talking about fascia and he stopped me in my own words. And he said, you have to understand, I do C-sections all day. And he said, when I cut people open, there's the skin and then there's the fat. And he's like, I see the fascial wall. It's thin white. He said, and then when I have a C-section and I have to put them back together, he said, there's no easy way to do it. It's just there's no straight line, so just bunches it back together. He said, so if you're stretching that in a woman postpartum, he said that could have a massive result. I've now been stretching him, and I'm trying to get it to a point where, he's going to start to send me some of his patients, which he sent one or two now. I have a 7-month pregnant woman. That's been interesting. But that's been him and I were having a lot of talks. It sounds like there could be a big opportunity there. So that's not like Colby, but this is more of a business opportunity type thing that that didn't present itself before.
Well, that's spectacular, and that's the fun part about this is you're going to have, as word gets out, and word has obviously gotten out, you can have a variety from children to elderly and everything in between. And we have nothing but, words of grace for you, and we're so happy. It warms our heart, Ann and myself, to hear these success stories, and that's why I really was excited to get you to tell your story, your stories, and to let others know that, there is hope, especially clients, patients, people who have been through many practitioners. They're still in pain, just like Colby and others, even worse, and they've lost hope. And so I always say things like hashtag FST is hope, and things like that, because it's true. And so you make us proud. You make us proud.
Well, I'm simply, when people tell me that I'm amazing at what I'm doing, I said, good teachers make good students. I found a modality that works for me. I think it's superior to anything I've ever seen. And so FST for life for me. But there's an Alexei who's a Ukrainian gentleman, 35, came in. He said from 1 to 10 the pain, and he kept like on his groin right area. I mean, I just pulled out all the tricks, right? Did all the stretches. Here we are now 7 weeks later, and he said to me last week, he said when he came, the pain was about a 7. He said now it's about a 0.5 and often a 0. So there's that. There's Andrew Dooley, who came, that had an MRI scheduled, some low back pain. He's a superintendent of a golf course, canceled his MRI, and is like, you can't go on vacation when he talks to me. He's like, so like, it's just one after the other that these things are happening. There are some short-term results. They feel, like if you do some rotator cuff stuff right away on the table, they can see the visuals. But 4-6 weeks later, which is where we are now, like, before they even get on the table, they're scheduling the next session.
That's fantastic.
So,
well, listen,
thank you. I know you're thankful to me, but I'm thankful to you, and I can't wait to learn more. So,
well, you're quite welcome. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you again at level 2.
Can't wait.
Meantime, if anyone's listening to this and they're a potential client, do you have a contact information you can give them, how you'd prefer to be contacted, or where they can find you? I guess on our directory at stretch2win.com, they can find you on our directory.
The directory, they can. I'm pretty sure my email and my personal cell phone is on there. I'd be happy to talk to anyone.
And your full name is what? So they can look it up when they go.
You're going to look for Vincent Zambrata, first name Vincent, last name with a Z, Zambrata, Zambrota.
And what city do you serve in what state?
So it's Pennsylvania, and I guess people would search Bucks County if they were looking for me, which is a county that's north of Philadelphia. It's the county that's right above Philly. So that I would imagine. But I'm starting to, I wouldn't mind traveling if someone reached out to me and wanted me to come about it.
Fantastic. Well, Vinny, we'll end it there. Thank you so much for your very inspiring stories. And you yourself are very inspiring. You just graduated in January, and here you are, whatever, like you said, 6 weeks later, and you're a story of success, and you're helping tons of people, and it's only going to get better and more busy. So you're going to have to think quality time as well, right, for your daughter and your family, because the demand is high and the supply is low.
You got that right.